Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the world's biggest stars, and one of my favourite people ever, John Owen-Jones, has just been announced as the brand new star of the Broadway cast in Les Miserables, currently starring as Phantom in the West End. It's not bad being you, is it?
I can't complain, really. I've had a very good run of luck, combined with hard work, so I'm very pleased that I'm getting the chance to go to Broadway again.
Nonsense. There's no such thing as luck. When you hear your voice, it's very clear why you get the biggest roles in the world. It is still astonishing. They could have anybody on Broadway and they chose you. That's got to be humbling, hasn't it?
And it was a complete shock, The production is the same one that I started back in 2010 for the 25th anniversary of the show. Cameron decided it would be a good idea, Cameron McIntosh that is, to reboot the show and create a brand new version of it. And he chose me to do Valjean. So I got a very great opportunity to recreate the role and bring something new to the show. And that version is now running on Broadway. And I think they wanted me to go back there because they wanted me to close the show, to kind of complete the circle, as it were. Because the show's been running there for a year now with Ramin Karimloo as Jean Valjean first, and then Alfie Bow, who's just doing it at the moment, and I'll be taking over from Alfie. But what's very satisfying to me, and I've said this to other people, is that Ramin and Alfie have had to do pretty much what I invented back in 2010. Yeah. So, it's a great feeling.
That's fantastic. And going to Broadway, there's nothing like it. I just saw this show a month ago, and actually I think it's probably more immersive and compelling than the original. It's beautifully staged. Is there an added pressure and excitement doing Broadway? There shouldn't be, but there's something so special about it.
Yes, you know what's really interesting is that when you work on Broadway, you hear people's stories of how they got there and how hard it is for people in the industry to get on Broadway. It is the holy grail of musical theatre. And, to start off from a small town in Wales and, move to the West End and then, go to Broadway is, it's brilliant for me to be able to do that. But I've had just as long a journey as everyone else, even people in the ensemble and understudies. They've all had to work so hard to get there because the standard is so high. But when you get there, it's just a big family. Everyone gets on with everyone. It is very much a job still at the end of the day, where people come in and they do their job and then they go home. But there's a real sense of community in New York, and the theatrical community is very bonded, so it's very exciting to be part of that.
I think it's more intimate, isn't it? It literally is within just a couple of streets and you're more or less on top of each other next door. They do seem to also have, dare I say, a more professional ethic sometimes. They don't take holidays. They seem to work much harder. I think it's possibly because the bar is so high because they're competing with 350 million other people.
Oh, right, definitely. I mean, it is very, very competitive. That's the thing, So, to be selected to be part of that group is really an honour for me. But as you talked about, the family, it is very close. All the theatres are very close-knit there. It's kind of the same in the West End, really, but there's a uniqueness about New York. Unique New York, there we are, there's a vocal warm-up for you. When I was at the Broadhurst Theatre, when I did Les Mis back in 1997 over there for a brief stint, next door was the Majestic Theatre, which is where Phantom was running, and there were two other theatres back to back, so all these four theatres were interconnected. And I remember once where we were on stage doing the show, and we were able to open the door and walk onto the stage of the next theatre where they were doing a chorus line. So you could actually, if you were not on stage, you could watch the next door show from the wings. And also, what we would do is, the company would get together before each show and do a physical and vocal warm-up. And sometimes we would go into the chorus line theatre, and they'd all be there in their leg warmers, we'd be there in our rags, and we'd be doing a little dance warm-up together, and then they would all join us in our physical warm-up. It was very funny, actually, but you don't get that in London because the theatres aren't all hemmed in on each other,
So, of course, you're excited to go to Broadway, but then again, you're a married man with children. That can't be easy.
Well, no, it's a funny old business for that kind of thing. I work in the evenings, my kids are at school, and my wife's a school teacher, so I see them for about 30 to 45 minutes a day, where I get up after they've gone, and then I see them when they come over from school, then I go to work, and then they've all gone to bed when I get home. But we've managed, when they asked me to do Broadway, it was very important to me. My family were able to come with me, so we've talked to the schools and we've worked it out with my wife's job that they can all take some time off and come with me. Because if they weren't able to, I probably wouldn't have gone, I'll be honest. So, because it means that much to me. So, because it would have been 6 months on my own, you know, and that kind of thing, it's never healthy for any kind of relationship, let alone.
But what a thrill that you can all do it together. That's so exciting for them. How old are the kids now?
Exciting, yeah. My kids are 12 and 13, and they came with me when we went before, and they were only like 3 and 4 then, so it wasn't a problem really. But this time they were very, very excited, and they just all told their friends, and they were all tears and everything. But it's all going to be a lot of fun, you know, because what an amazing experience for them at that age to go and live in another country, and you know, to live in such a vibrant melting pot like New York, you know, where there's so many things to experience and do.
What's it like for your kids having John Owen-Jones as daddy? Is it just dad? Yeah. I don't. You know, they have their friends think that I'm famous. I'm not really. You know, I'm not a household name or anything, and you know, I'm not really bothered by that. But they kind of tease me about it sometimes, and they say, "Oh God, that you were on TV the other night with Bryn Terfel. Oh, so embarrassing. Why can't you go on the X Factor or something?" I'm like, that's not my cup of tea, kid. Sorry, you know. So I don't think you need to. I think you're doing fine as you are.
Yeah.
I look at you and your career and listen to your voice, and it's unsurprising that you've been offered this. It is remarkable. I know we've talked about this before. What pressure are you under to sound like John Owen-Jones day in and day out? Do you worry about it, or do you just say que sera?
It's a bit of both, really. I mean, if you really got stressed about it, you wouldn't have a voice. Stress is one of the biggest enemies of the singer. So you have to really believe that you need to belong there, because if you looked around and thought, people are going to catch me out, I shouldn't really be here, and then you worried about it, the first thing that would go would be your voice. You'd get a sore throat, you'd get tightness, and it would be really difficult to perform. So you have to really relax and just believe in yourself, otherwise it doesn't work. But on the flip side, of course, the nerves help as well. So, you know, you end up pushing yourself to be the very best you can, because you know people have paid money to come and see you. I mean, I've got to that level now, excuse me, where people travel from Japan and Russia to come and see me perform, you know. And there was a point in my career where I was just a phantom, but now I'm John Owen-Jones playing the phantom, or John Owen-Jones playing Valjean, and it's a privilege, you know, and I don't want to let those people down, so I give 100% every single performance. Even when, say for example, yesterday, it was a Thursday matinee in Phantom, and it wasn't full because of what happened in Paris. Ticket sales have dropped a little bit. They'll pick up again, they always do. And, you know, the audience were very quiet, and there's a tendency for actors to just relax and not give the best performance. But I knew that there were people out there who travelled from Italy to come and see me. So I lifted my performance, you know, to make sure that it was worthwhile for them, you know. Even though I don't know them, there's just kind of a weird guilt and a humanity and a connection with these people that you feel, even though you don't know them, and you feel like you owe them something. So in my case, I give 100% every time I can.
We're going to get back to that in a second. Something you said there was really interesting. Has there been a palpable change in the theatre since Paris? Have people become more nervous? Is there a different feel?
Yes, but you know what? This has all happened before. You know, the IRA were, you know, theatres were closing down and shows were closing because of the IRA back in the 70s and 80s. And then we had 9/11 happen, and, you know, people were not coming to London, but they were still going to massive outdoor festivals, which are just as risky. You know, there's no one target. I mean, when Paris happened on Friday night, on the Saturday matinee, it was sold out, but there were big pockets of empty seats where people had elected not to come.
Wow.
So, you know, and these are the same people that are going on holiday to Disneyland Paris for the weekend.
Right.
So, and a very good friend of mine from my hometown, Buryport in Wales, him and his wife were going to come up in the Christmas period to come and see Phantom and to see me and do some Christmas shopping, but because of what happened in Paris, they're not coming now. And now, so instead they're going to Amsterdam, which is like, that's, isn't it? Like, yeah, but it's not London. You can't guess. I mean, they just picked a random
ridiculous.
restaurant in Paris. You just can't guess. So there's no point worrying about it. You know, I went to Paris the weekend after Charlie Hebdo happened earlier this year, and I went to New York a week after 9/11. So, you know, it doesn't bother me at all. If you're going to go, you're going to go. So you might as well go doing something you enjoy, like watching something in the theatre, you know.
Exactly. Let's talk about the two shows. I mean, with the greatest respect, I've watched you in Phantom 400 times and I like it, but it doesn't compare to Jean Valjean, does it? I mean, the two roles, one is a sort of 10% come on and steal the show. The other is you have to work hard for 2.5 hours non-stop.
Well, yeah, it is. There is a lot of that. You know, Phantom, when you're at full strength, it's considerably easier than Jean Valjean. Jean Valjean is a mountain to climb every night. But yet you get stamina built up and you get into the role, and you know, I still give as much to Jean Valjean, even though it's a bigger part, as I give to the Phantom. You know, yeah. It's peculiar because it's so different, but they're so challenging in an equal way. You know, because my voice has dropped about an octave now to sing the Phantom properly. So when I go into Les Mis, I'll have to train the top of my voice up again, just to kind of get into singing the role easier. And, you know, I've done Phantom thousands of times, and yet I came back to the show recently and I did 4 shows and my voice went because I wasn't quite used to it. Wow. I had a few days off and then I was back, and I'm full strength, and it's great. And the same will possibly happen with Les Mis, I don't know, but I've just got to be prepared mentally and vocally to do it, because even though, as you said, they are a world apart, they're both equally challenging in their own ways.
And I guess the physical side of Jean Valjean is also interesting, because he's a young man who runs in and runs out and then becomes an old man that eventually pegs it. You've got to be physically fit as well as vocally fit, haven't you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of things made in the show about the character's strength. So, and you know, I try and achieve that not by looking, you know, buff and having a washboard stomach or anything, because they wouldn't have looked like that in those days, really, would they? They didn't have training regimes and weight machines and
no,
stuff.
They hadn't got protein shakes, have they?
No, they didn't. No. The strength of the character for me, I believe, comes from within. So it's a stillness and kind of a wisdom as he gets older, and I try and play that. And one of my favourite compliments that I get when I play Valjean is how well he ages when I play him, you know, and I spend a lot of time thinking about that side of the story, because it's not convincing to the audience otherwise. They don't go on that journey if they don't believe you're an old man at the end who's lived a life, you know.
I think
you've done a whole life in like 3 hours, you know.
I think it is still the most beautiful show on earth. Les Mis is moving, and the Broadway production is certainly incredible. The way it opens, the way it finishes, and the way you perform that role is staggering, and you are a remarkable performer. John, I always love talking to you.
Thank you very much. It's very kind of you.
Congratulations on getting the role. You'll be appearing from March in Les Miserables at the Imperial Theatre on Broadway in Les Miserables, and you continue to perform as the Phantom of the Opera in the West End for the next couple of months. Great to talk to you, and I hope to see you on Broadway.
Okay, thanks a lot, mate. Cheers.